evening, this is FBC News. I'm Amrita Priyadarshini. In tonight's bulletin, High Court to rule on Lewere's eligibility as Member of Parliament on Monday. Petition calling for a referendum on the change of the national flag referred back to Parliament. And police recover stolen items in various raids in the Southern and Central divisions. A ruling on the Attorney General's petition challenging the awarding of the vacant Sadelpa seat to Mikaele Lewere, given the death of Ratu Viliame Tangivetawa, will be delivered on Monday next week. Maggie Boyle has more.
Before the High Court's Court of Disputed Returns, a full hearing was held today with counsel for the Electoral Commission, New Zealand-based Bhupendra Patel, arguing that the Commission followed the law. Patel also highlighted the Bill of Rights given Lewere's re-employment with the Fijian Teachers Association, a public office. In response, Lewere's counsel John Apted argued that the matter should be dismissed because it did not provide evidence or fact against the particulars of the petition, one of which states that Lewere was ineligible for Parliament because he held a public office at the time he was awarded the seat. For the AG's office, Davina Sharma told the court that Lewere had in fact disqualified himself before even being awarded the seat when he resumed public office in January. Sharma also told the court that the Commission was responsible to vet Lewere accordingly and decide on his eligibility as outlined in the Constitution. High Court Judge Justice David Alfred is scheduled to make his ruling on Monday afternoon, which will also be the deadline of 21 days allocated for the petition to be determined. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
A petition calling for a referendum on the change of the national flag has been referred back to Parliament. Chair of the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights, Ashnil Sudhakar, says they don't have any legal jurisdiction in the matter. Edwin Nand reports.
We believe
the petition submitted to Parliament by opposition MP Viliame Ngavoka has 1,500 signatories wanting a referendum on the flag. It was referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights.
The parameters that were given to us on the petition is beyond any legislation in the country. So for that reason, the committee had resorted to hear submissions on the National Flag Preparation Bill and the Coat of Arms Bill.
Viliame Ngavoka himself appeared before the committee today. His stand and that of the Social Democratic Liberal Party remains, don't change the flag. Ngavoka says the Union Jack will always be a part of Fiji.
To the Fijians, though, and by this I mean that it's okay, the ties to the Union Jack were more than sentimental. It stood for a chiefly relationship of the highest order that started with Queen Victoria in 1874.
Deputy Permanent Secretary from the Prime Minister's office, Penyana Lalambalavu, also appeared before the committee, saying that the PM's office fully supports the change of the national flag and provisions to protect the coat of arms.
It is a historic opportunity because it is going to give due significance and recognition to our national symbol. And it also will inculcate in the mindsets of the people of Fiji the value of the flag.
The committee is taking submissions until the 12th of June. It's inviting any and all Fiji citizens to come forward and be heard. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
Police are urging robbery and burglary victims in the Central and Southern divisions to go to the Criminal Investigations Department in Suva to identify items that may have been stolen from them recently. The stolen items include laptops, hand tools and jewellery. Chanel Sivan reports.
These are the items that police have recovered from various robberies in the Southern and Central divisions. Police Chief of Intelligence and Investigations, ACP Henry Brown, is urging victims to go and identify their items at the Criminal Investigations Department headquarters in Turek, Suva.
During this operation, we have a number of laptops, computers and telephones seized, which are yet to be identified. If you have lost a telephone or computer in these robberies, and the police have not yet reached you, please make your way up to the CID headquarters.
According to police, a house was raided in Nandera Nasino yesterday morning and a man is now being questioned by investigators. Brown is warning those on the receiving end of the stolen properties to stop creating a market for looters.
The markets are available, that's why they are so bold to commit these offences, because they have an avenue to dispose of items. Do not buy goods off roads, streets. Do not buy goods which are under market value, because you know there's something suspicious with them.
Our team has been deployed to apprehend those who have been buying and receiving stolen items. Now, according to the Crimes Decree 2009, anyone who is charged for receiving or buying stolen items, the maximum sentence is 10 years imprisonment. And the summary of the facts is the same for theft. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
Fiji has received positive responses and a huge interest in its challenge to developed nations to cut down carbon emissions. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has taken the lead in bringing global attention to the challenges Pacific Islands will face with climate change. Akusita Tale has more.
With the Global Climate Change Summit 6 months away, Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has used his recent trip overseas to put the spotlight on developed nations and their need to cut carbon emissions. The British High Commissioner to Fiji, Roderick Drummond, says the government has shifted its policy.
The UK, as part of the European Union, is very much in the lead internationally, we think, in terms of setting ambitious targets for ourselves. 40% cuts in our own emissions. That's our target. We want a legally binding deal in Paris, and we know that this is very important to our partners here in the Pacific, like Fiji.
US Ambassador Judith Sefkin says the US shares the priorities that the Prime Minister is addressing to redouble its efforts to mitigate climate change.
President Obama is extremely passionate about this issue. He's very committed. The United States has put forward an ambitious commitment to further reduce our emissions by between 25% and 28% in the coming years, and we are doubling the pace of our emissions reduction.
While the EU nations work towards a 40% cut in global emissions by 2030, it stands ready to support and work with Fiji and the Pacific at the COP21 summit in Paris.
We look forward to working very closely together over the next 6 months. There's not very long to go before we have this big challenge of getting a really sustainable agreement in Paris.
Fiji will be going to the World Climate Summit in Paris with other Pacific Island countries to persuade the global community to achieve a legally binding and universal agreement on climate. The overarching goal of the summit is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to limit the global temperature increase to 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
Still to come on FBC News, Ministry of Health to address gender inequality in health service delivery.
छू 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 हे नमस्ते फीजी। आपके हर एक प्रॉब्लम की दवा लेकर मैं आ गई हूँ 9 से 12 बजे तक आपकी सहेली रेनू। छू 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 40 में 20 का दिखना है। मैं हूँ ना आपके साथ में मिर्ची एफएम पर 9 से 12 बजे तक मंडे टू फ्राइडे। मिर्ची इट्स हॉट।
Welcome back to FBC News. The Namosi Joint Ventures NJV Waisoy project is currently in the pre-feasibility stage. NJV is exploring for mineral resources in the Namosi and Naitasiri provinces, approximately 30 kilometers west of Suva. Ritika Pratap reports.
NJV Country Manager Greg Morris says they are currently preparing a comprehensive environmental and social impact assessment as required by the Fiji Environmental Management Act. Morris says the objective of the ESIA is to develop a thorough understanding of the existing environmental, social and cultural environment, potential impacts from the development and how these can be mitigated. He says extensive consultation with all stakeholders, particularly the local communities, has been undertaken and will continue to be done so. Morris says they are not rushing with the ESIA and are looking at completing it within a year's time. Once completed, the report will be submitted to the government and made available to the general public for comment. Morris' comments follow the statement by Prime Minister Voringe Bainimarama in Thailand last week that the Nomosi copper and gold mining venture has been put on hold. He said the government is yet to be satisfied that the necessary environmental protections can be met. Bainimarama said Nomosi could make Fiji potentially wealthier and resolve a lot of budgetary challenges. However, this cannot come at any price, and especially any degradation of the environment. However, Morris has clarified that NJV is still at the exploration stage. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Now, gender inequality in health service delivery has become a concern for the Health Ministry, and steps are now being undertaken to address this. Shireen Latta reports the senior staff at the Health Ministry are being trained about equal intake.
Out of 5,000 employees working for the Health Ministry, 60% are female staff. Acting Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. Medeusela Tuidakau says this shows there's gender imbalance within the ministry, and they are now focusing on male intake.
We're trying to balance all those out as well as our senior management level, so that people progress without discrimination of any gender or any sex or any religion. So people have got equal opportunity for progress in health, as well as our aspects of health service delivery.
Dr. Tuidakau says gender imbalance does have challenges while delivering services.
If you're admitted in the hospital, you can feel the difference between a female attending to you and a male attending to you.
Nursing makes up the largest number of female staff, and Fiji Nursing Association General Secretary Salaniata Matiavi says there's hardly any difference in work done by male and female nurses.
The norm has always been females becoming nurses, and Matiavi is urging more men to be trained as nurses to better attend to male patients. Shireen Latta, FBC News.
Another Australian employer has shown interest in recruiting Fijians under the Seasonal Workers Program. The Minister for Employment, Industrial Relations and Productivity, Chiochi Conrote, has confirmed to FBC News initial talks have begun with the prospective employer who wants to hire up to 5 people for the seasonal work. Last month, the first Australian employer recruited 4 Fijians for fruit picking work under the program. The seasonal employment contracts are between 6 to 7 months. Meanwhile, under the New Zealand Recognised Seasonal Employer Workers Scheme, 30 individuals have been earmarked for employment under the pilot program. 24 people have already left for New Zealand, with the final 6 scheduled to leave Fiji tomorrow. Fijians who have contributed to the development of communities will be recognized for their dedication and commitment in the annual honours and awards. President Ratu Epeli Nailatika will be awarding the honours medals to the recipients. Watisoni Raikandroka reports.
The medals for this year's honours and awards are now on display as preparations get underway for the ceremony later in the year. Chairman of the College of Honour, Iqbal Zanib, says the honours will be awarded under a special legislation, which is the Honours and Awards Act 1995 of the Fiji government.
The different levels of the awards, the criteria for those levels, and the numbers of awards in each area that can be given out in any one year.
Janib says they are hoping to get many nominations this year.
There are many people out there who are deserving, and we need to ensure that the publicity for nominations goes as wide as possible, so that everyone has an opportunity to nominate.
Nomination forms are available at the Honours Secretariat and applications close on July 15th. Watisoni Regonroka, FBC News.
The Pacific Regional Civil Society Organization Forum has released recommendations that will contribute to the participation of civil society groups in strengthening regional peace and security. The forum ended today after 3 days of discussions in Suva. Participants at the forum are hoping that their recommendations will be heard by Pacific leaders.
And we're also urging all Pacific Island governments to ratify the Arms Trade Treaty as a commitment to the prohibition of arms transfer and the prevention of future tragedies caused by small arms and light weapons.
The Pacific Regional CSO Forum will also build frameworks highlighting the role of civil society in preventing conflict and building a peaceful community. We turn to sports now. Here's Jamie.
Thanks, Amrita, and good evening. After the break, Government and Melbourne Storm agreed to bring NRL matches to Fiji, and we get the latest from the Fiji Under-20 football side preparing for its second World Cup match against Honduras tomorrow. This and more coming up.
It's now 6 o'clock right here on Big Breakfast. Today FM, today's hit music.
Hey, I'm Pauline.
And I'm Alan. Tune in to the Breakfast Show on Today FM with Pauline and I every weekday morning.
From 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Right here on Today FM, today's hit music.
Today FM, today's hit music.
Prime Minister Vorengen Bainimarama and officials of the Melbourne Storm have agreed to hold one regular NRL season match in Fiji every year, starting in 2017. The Prime Minister also revealed yesterday that the Melbourne Storm will start training and playing in Fiji from this year. They will also hold coaching clinics for local clubs and young people, as well as open trials for aspiring players. As an added bonus for rugby league fans, Fiji's own Marika Korembete could feature in the Storm's Nines exhibition match against a team selected by the Prime Minister. The Fiji National Rugby League will make a statement on this announcement on Friday. Meanwhile, the Melbourne Storm will take on the Penrith Panthers on Saturday in round 13 of the NRL competition. The Vodafone Fiji Under-20 football side wrapped up preparations for its second World Cup match in wet conditions today. The team say the lessons learned from its encounter with Germany will help them against Honduras tomorrow. Indra Singh has more from Christchurch.
The Fijian juniors held their last training session in preparation for the second game of their World Cup campaign with players in high spirits.
Yeah, I mean the boys can do it. If we work hard just like we did in the second half, we concentrate and focus on the job ahead, I think we can do a better job come Honduras tomorrow.
That's what we're looking forward for, to play like we started in the second half against Germany and much more better than that. And want to make our country proud.
It is another mammoth task in front of these players, but they say the first match has taught them a lot.
It was good, especially a good experience for us to play Germany. It was a tough game because mentally we were prepared, but the Germans were better than us. But I think we put in a good performance in the second half.
I've learned a lot in the first game, and I've seen something more what we can do in our second game, and we have learned something from the German side.
The mentor says there could be some changes in the side from the team which started the first game.
Oh, look, happy with the 11. There's no one. If somebody doesn't play tomorrow that played in the first game, it's not because they were poor or whatever. It may just be, we're looking at different areas, possibly playing a bit higher up the park in terms of pressing and our structure. So it won't be a punishment if I make changes. There may be changes, but it's more about tactically and trying to take the game a bit more forward and a bit more to Honduras.
He further says Honduras will bring in a different brand of football compared to Germany.
Honduras is a very good side as well. Got some very good players, but again they're a different side to Germany. I think they're a lot more structured in terms of their shape on the park and the positions that the players will play, whereas Germany were very mobile. A lot of movement, interchanging of positions. Whereas Honduras will be most probably a little bit more structured as to you can say who's playing where.
It will be another David versus Goliath battle for Fiji, but if this team can click like they did in the second half of the Germany game, they sure will stand a chance. And in football, anything is possible. Interesting, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, the team medical staff has also been working hard to maintain player fitness and well-being. The team has the services of a doctor and physiotherapist on hand 24/7, and the pair have been working hard to ensure the side is injury-free. The medical professionals are also impressed with the way the young players are following the instructions.
This is a new experience for myself and the team and the boys. From a medical point of view, we have a lot of new rules and regulations and set diet and everything that players have to follow.
Meanwhile, assistant coach Selen Lal says he's also learning a lot from this tournament.
Big learning experience for the boys, the game that they played against the Germany. Now I think the boys, they have realized what it takes to be here at the World Cup. I guess the training went in well. The boys, they really prepared themselves well, and the mistakes that they have got in the games against the Germany.
The Vodafone Fiji Under-20 side take on Honduras at 4 p.m. tomorrow, and you can catch that match live on FBC TV. The 2015 Suva Marathon will be a chance to raise awareness on the issue of non-communicable diseases in the country. Organizers are hoping to drive home the need to maintain a healthy lifestyle to participants as well as spectators.
We're of course concerned as representatives of the Fiji community, the high rate of non-communicable diseases, and the marathon was a way of encouraging people to participate, try to address promoting healthy lifestyles, as well as being part of a community.
The Suva Marathon will take place on the 8th of August. Sepp Blatter is to resign as president of football's governing body, FIFA, amid a corruption scandal, and is reportedly under investigation in the US. In announcing his exit, the 79-year-old Swiss has called an extraordinary FIFA Congress as soon as possible to elect a new president. Blatter was re-elected just last week, despite 7 top FIFA officials being arrested 2 days before the vote. Blatter said his mandate does not appear to be supported by everybody. The next ordinary FIFA Congress will take place on the 13th of May next year in Mexico City. That was your sports for this evening. It's back to Amrita now with business.
To complement the Green Growth Framework, a Fijian trade policy framework will be launched in the next few weeks. This is a separate plan to improve national trade performance and improve Fiji's position as a regional trading hub. This will be another crucial document for the country's national development pathway to achieve sustainable growth through trade.
We want consumers the world over to know that when they buy Fijian, they are buying quality products and services produced by a Pacific Island nation that has placed sustainable development at its core.
Well, cloudy periods with brief showers prevailed over much of the interior and eastern parts of the larger islands today. In the west and other areas, fine weather prevailed. An east to southeast wind prevails over Fiji, bringing showers and cloud to our eastern shores. On to temperatures, the coolest places today were Suva and Savusavu, recording 28 degrees. The warmest was Lautoka at 33. Tomorrow will be much like today, cloudy periods with brief showers in the east, fine conditions apart from isolated afternoon or evening showers elsewhere. And looking ahead toward Friday and the weekend, more of the same. Recapping our headlines, High Court to rule on Lewera's eligibility as Member of Parliament on Monday. Petition calling for a referendum on the change of the national flag referred back to Parliament. And police recover stolen items in various raids in the southern and central divisions. On to our poll question this week, should retail opening hours be extended all over Fiji? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email, citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj, or share it with us via our Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or #FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Amrita Priyadarshini. Good night.